Even after the stock market crashed in 1929, triggering the Great Depression and leaving millions of people struggling to find work, over 58% of women had at least one tube of lipstick. Now, there are reports that women applied lipstick more regularly than they were brushing their own teeth. I could see that. But the Great Depression was so bad that America stopped production on over 50% of its products simply because people didn't have disposable income anymore. But the cosmetic business, she only got bigger. It's been reported that cosmetics was one of the few industries that actually grew during the Great Depression. In fact, right in the middle of all this, makeup icons Revlon and Almay opened up for business. Now, it proves something sociologists call the lipstick theory. This theory says that people are willing to sacrifice big expenses for small luxuries. Like, you may not be able to afford a new car, but at least you can feel better about yourself because you got this new lipstick. The lipstick trend continued into World War II in the 1940s, especially after the world found out that Adolf Hitler hated red lipstick, which is like the most random fact, but he did. I guess Hitler believed that the ideal Aryan woman had a pure, unscrubbed face and shouldn't wear excessive cosmetics, especially red lipstick. So, women all around the world proudly wore red lipstick as an act of defiance against the war and fascism. And honestly, I guess they wanted to feel patriotic as well. Like they're wearing a red lip and they're like, "Hey, Hitty. Don't you want me, Hitty? Hey." Just pissing him off. He hated it. I think Hitler was probably just jealous because he wanted to wear it. It's usually the case. So yeah, all of this makeup use during the war was seen as a great way to boost morale. Oh, and it boosted morale all right. So much so that the American government even asked a famous cosmetic maker, Elizabeth Arden, to create a lip and nail color for the women serving in the military. I'll give you one guess what that color was. No guesses? All right. It was red. Come on, it was red. But side note, Elizabeth Arden is such an iconic makeup line. You guys have no idea. Oh my God, I should do a whole video on her. She deserves it. Anyway, makeup brands encouraged the patriotic use of makeup because it was ultimately just good for business. They even released lipstick colors with strong names like Victory Red. And get this, red lipstick was even mandatory to wear for women who joined the US Army. And when the 1950s rolled around, makeup for women was basically not optional, especially for young women who had money. Makeup, once again, was a symbol of like your place in the world. You had your shit together. You were the picture-perfect representation of feminine ideals. A lot of pressure. And in the 50s, some surveys reported that almost all American women wore lipstick. And since there was an economic boom at this time, people had, a little bit of extra cash to play with. So women weren't just buying one tube of red lipstick or like an eyeshadow either. They were buying different shades, different colors. They were coordinating with their outfits. Blue eyeshadow, blue shirt. Bitch, come for me. Yeah, it was no more like one size fits all. It was about having a little bit of fun. Lots of mixing and matching and just doing your thing. And for some jobs, like if you were a flight attendant or even a secretary, you would be required to wear makeup. It was just enforcing gender roles within the workplace. Like women wore lipstick and did the typing, and men wore suits and cheated on their wives. In the 1970s, makeup took on a whole new identity, okay? It still had that same defiant vibe, but in the 70s, American culture was shifting and people were taking a stand for tons of social issues. And makeup was right there, along for the ride. Makeup became a hot button social issue. It was no longer a thing just for the proper lady. And it was no longer just like red lipstick. Now there were different colors available, like purple and black, and people were wearing it, During this time, the rise of rock and roll and punk rock kind of came to the scene, and singers were now wearing makeup to show that they were rebelling against social norms. Now this made people a little uncomfortable. They don't like that. Purple lipstick? Why, God, why? What about the children? And then a bunch of famous men decided, hey, that whole makeup thing, let's get in on it. So America in the 70s, makeup was a very gendered, ladies-only thing at this point. And that when men did it, people fucking flipped their tables, lost their shit, pulled off their wigs, raging with forks. What are those called? Pitchforks, murdering people, just freaking out. Because there were celebrities like David Bowie who came onto the scene and started using makeup. It was like a way to express himself and stand out, really. And many men were doing just this. But America didn't get that. She's so annoying. America. The globe. She's so annoying. Everyone's so judgmental. Remember Prince? Hope you remember Prince. But he had some fierce eyeshadow, okay? I mean, he was a sex symbol, okay? Okay? Yes, okay? I mean, everything became about being bold and different and breaking free from what society expected of you. And at the same time, when the feminist movement was happening, there was actually a push to swing the complete other way by not wearing makeup. Again, makeup, no makeup, makeup, no makeup, aren't we tired? Just let the people live. Jeez. There were protests about how the beauty industry was actually degrading to women. Because of this anti-makeup movement, the cosmetic industry was scrambling and losing money fast. So they poured tons of money into creating products that gave you the quote-unquote natural makeup look, labeling it as the makeup of liberated women. The problem of making this natural look makeup for liberated women is that these companies they didn't mean all women, okay? They meant only white or light-skinned women. For decades, women of color were left out of the cosmetics industry. I mean, the darkest shade at the time was for olive skin tones, and that wasn't even widely available in most stores. Long before the 70s, in the late 1800s, there was an entrepreneur named Madame C.J. Walker. And she was a trailblazer. I mean, seriously, ahead of her time, a complete icon. In the years after the Civil War, she created a cosmetic and hair care line specifically for Black women. Her products were so successful that Miss C.J. Walker became the first female millionaire in America. That's some boss-ass shit right there. And after C.J. died in 1919, her company continued, but the only way women of color could get makeup in darker shades was to order it from a catalog. Which, if you know anything about color matching a foundation, picking a shade out of a catalog, that ain't it. That's not gonna work. I mean, what was their return policy? It's not realistic. But all that changed when one day, a woman named Eunice Johnson decided to do something about it. You see, Eunice went to a charity fashion show, and while she was there, she went backstage to check out, just what was going on behind the scenes. While she's back there, that's where she noticed the models with darker complexion were doing something different than the lighter complexion models. They were taking all the makeup that was available to them and just mixing it in hopes to match their skin tone. And a light bulb went off in Eunice's head. Look, there's an opportunity here to get women of color products that they can actually use.